Okay, let's get this thing on the road. Welcome, welcome. We're glad to see everybody out here tonight. So for those of you that don't know me, and I do see a few new little faces in here, I'm KG7 UUR, and I am the secretary for the UVARC group here. And so, I think we do the down. So the next one up is going to be Carl.
So soon. I don't know why you're surprised.
You're always up, Carl.
I know. I don't know what I'm up for, but I'm up. All right, let's see what's going on here. Well, I know I announced this last night, so. No, I didn't. I didn't announce this one yet. Wingers on Saturday the 11th. Is going to be the lunch brunch. And that was Lila's choice down there. I'm going to try and get there, although it's the day before Mother's Day. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Wingers down in Southtown Mall Center, whatever. I don't think I've ever been to that one. But anyway, come out and enjoy. There's several people that are there just every single month. Linda and Jim and oh man, I don't know who else. They're there all the time. So hopefully we see you then. The big deal here is this one right here. It's less than a month away. And we've been saying all year, don't let some family reunion get on your calendar before this did. So, you know, we hope you make it. The chicken is ordered for it. We always have about 80, 100 people there. And it's potluck otherwise. We'll do barbecue chicken. And we usually have some door prizes. That's how we fundraise for the chicken. Some radios. We'll give some radios away. If you come out, we'll give you a free ticket for the raffle to start with, and then you can buy as many as you want for the raffle. You're doing a Get on the Air HF there again this year, and so come out and join us. That's Highland Glen Park. If you don't know where it's at, it's right below Lone Peak High School. Drive down that road. It's kind of nestled down that valley. There's a couple of different ways to get there, but that's the easiest way. And it's got a little lake there, and it should be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, it does say that here. Replaces all lame family reunions. That's a good note. All right. Before I turn it over to Michelle, there's one thing I just mentioned it to Noji, and I know quite a few people here are members of the 7-6 group. And yeah, we try to keep our roles up to date. I got an email a couple of days ago from Ken out in Price, and he's been a stalwart check-in every single week for years. He comes in on Echolink, and I got an email from him. He moved to Pleasant Grove. He's in an assisted living there now. And along with that news, I found out that his old roommate, Carl, who used to check in too, is an SK. But anyway, he's in room 35 in Almost Home there in American Fork. So if anybody wants to stop by and visit him or whatever, he's trying to get, he checked in last night with a handheld. I think he's trying to get some antenna stuff done there and things like that. But anyway, so he's local now. So I told him that I'm here. I told him that I would support him in any way we could. And so if he needs something and he reaches out, we'll let people know. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that since I was just there. I just stopped by to see him a few minutes ago. So he's really close to Chad, right by American Fork Hospital there. So anyway, next, Michelle, it's all yours. Where's my honey? Oh, there she is.
He's phased out right now. So, okay, we got activities coming up. Okay, we got Summerfield Day. Yay!
How many days?
60 days, right? Not quite 60 days.
50-something days.
50-something days, less than 60 days. Okay, Saturday, 22nd, or yes, 22nd through the 23rd. Joe will be going up on the 13th, so he will reserve our spot up there.
Overachiever.
So if you want to go up and drop off your trailers, that Monday before field day, he will be up there camping. We are doing hot dogs and hamburgers. I will get a list together for potluck, which will be on Saturday. We do have our permit for that up there. So I do actually have the permit in my email right now. We got that about middle of April, I got that permit finally. So guys, come out, it's so much fun. We're gonna have a blast. We need one more RV to help out, so if you guys can volunteer your RV for one more station, awesome. Please reach out to either me or Noji, Chad, let us know so we have the RV secured. Ham radio fair will be Thursday, July 18th at Pheasant Brook Park in Linden. Come and get on the radio if you can't make it to field day. It's a great opportunity to even get littler ones on the radio. So, okay, service.
I'm going to defer to Gavin.
Gavin.
Guys, we have a lot of fun coming up this week. Let me come over here. Just in case, I know we have some new people here. This is really nice. And when you're new, come shake a lot of hands. Get to meet people. This week, Tuesday, this is open. I'm sorry?
Hit your down arrow.
Hit my down arrow. Let me actually back up. Let me do a quick introduction. My name's Gavin Groh. I'm part of UCARES. UCARES is an acronym for Utah County Amateur Radio Emergency Services that's associated with the county. UVARC is a great supporter with UCARES, and so it's really nice to be able to come in and share some of the things that we do here. One of the things is that we do have our nets. We have them kind of late at night. They're about 9 o'clock at night. They're getting busier and busier. I hope you're enjoying them. There's some really good ones out there. And these are our different frequencies that are up here. But in addition to our nets, we also have interface meetings similar to this, where you can get in, do hands-on stuff, or you can just learn about different concepts. This Tuesday at 7, check it just in case, 7 o'clock, over at the Nielsen Park, we will be doing a ham radio obstacle course. And it's not just for UCARES members, it's for everybody. So even if you don't have a license, come with somebody who maybe has a license. It'll make it a little easier, but it almost doesn't even matter because we can still get you on the air. We are going to be doing a lot of the hands-on things that you might need to do in an emergency, like programming your radio on the fly. But we'll have support there. We've got a bunch of mentors there. You'll go through kind of an obstacle course format. It is going to be so much fun. There is a sign-up form for this. It's just so we can plan appropriately and have the materials that are needed. So hopefully you'll be able to come out, ask me more questions. I'm in the back. In addition to that, UCARES is really dedicated in training people with their emergency services or the emergency communications. So if you would like to know who we are, come over here. We have got a QR code in the back. You just scan this guy. You can sign up with us. You'll get into our email list. It doesn't require any of your time. You can give your time as much as you want, but ultimately you're in connection with us. So when things go crazy, or if they go crazy, you know how to get that information on the air. So with that, anybody have any questions on any of this?
That QR is going to be back there?
Yeah, I'll just have it on the table back there, just next to the vest. You'll see us wearing these vests. You can ask anybody with these vests. I'm going to point you out too. Keith here, he's got an ECS team. That's the Sheriff's Department's organization that we're under. You can ask him a lot of questions too. He loves questions. So, no questions.
I've got that looks.
Yeah? Okay, good. Oh, I'll do one more introduction, sorry. She probably doesn't like this. But this is Karen. Karen here is our emergency coordinator. She is the one who's over the UCARES organization. Tons of experience, tons of answers. So hit her up as well. Is that good? All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, just adding on to what Gavin was saying, we're starting to get into our busy season. So if you go on to ucares.org, ucares.com, I think it's ucares.com, org, Okay, too many orgs, too many comms, too many websites I'm on. But if you go on to ucares.org, you'll go into the events and you'll see all of our upcoming events. And mine is the actual 4th of July parade. So if you want to work a really fun parade, come sign up and get out onto the parade route with us. So next up is going to be Sean.
Okay, on a personal note, this is one of the most exciting things for me. This is our list of new hams for this month, and it's definitely too many to read. Do we have any of our new hams in here today?
Sean, stand up.
If you do, stand up, holler. Nobody, that's unusual. Okay, well, again, we want to congratulate them. Let's give them a hand. That's fantastic. And then one more thing. This is a list of our upgrades. And again, a smaller list, quite a few generals. And I know Dave's got a class coming up this Saturday that he'll have a few more generals. Do we have any of our generals here that are new? Brand new general. Congratulations, yay. So anyway, it's exciting and congratulations. And our presentation.
Sorry, I just got to give John a little bit of an introduction here because John's a friend and he's a great guy. I mean, he's attended our field days a number of times and just kind of taught us a bunch of things and how things work and so forth. But if anybody knows how to do DX, okay, what in the world is DX? Well, I'm not going to spill the beans. I'm going to let him explain that. But he is, in my opinion, he's the master. He's the one that's going to teach everybody how to do this. And I don't care where you're from, where you live, John's the man. So he lives in Saratoga Springs, and he has been a regular to our club for a number of years, probably as long as we've been alive. But John's a great guy. If you ever want to know someone who is kind and good and just super smart, that's John. Anyway, take it away, John. Thanks.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to say next. After that, I think my head is going to be so big I won't be able to get out the door. I don't know. So I need to get this out of the way, and we'll. I need 2 volunteers. Just 2 volunteers. Come on up. Oh yeah, you're KK7. Help me. Mike November Mike. Come on up. I heard you in a pileup the other day. We're going to learn about pileups today. Okay. And what was your name again? Jackson. Great, Jackson. I need one other volunteer. Are you volunteering? I'll do it. Okay, come on over here. Yeah.
Careful, they might fly.
Yeah, I'm not. Sitting next to Jackson, I might not look as good. But
What was your name?
I'm Brent.
Brent. Okay, hold it up really high. So I promised I should I just go like this? All right. All right. Are you broadcasting this or something? Yeah. Yeah. Now my head's really going to get big. All right. So this is the world. And you all have, how many have a radio? Okay, you have a radio, this is the world, and that's DXing, okay? I'm done, you can all go home. All right, so DXing, let's talk a little bit about what that means. So as you see on here, this map for DXers, you see lots of labels, okay? And if you don't mind, I'm going to just move from the mic for just a second here. I hope you can hear me okay. So, you doing okay there, Jackson? Jackson, I think you know what this is. What do all these little labels mean? Like, FTZ and, I know, TT, ST, and so what are those?
So I think those are like the,
Okay.
I think those are the prefix of like the call signs
Yes,
around. The prefix of the call signs.
The prefixes of the call signs, that's right. So in the United States, what are our prefixes? Just help me out, just shout it out. W, K, N, A. Okay, good. What about Japan? J. Are all J's Japan? What's JY? Jackson, you know JY? you and I were in a pileup the other night. You were trying to work JY2, forget his call.
Oh, no. I forgot.
It's Jordan. Jordan, right? Jordan near Israel, right? Okay. Do you remember? I heard you in there. Good job, man. And then also we have here numbers. See 37, 33, and all that. Anybody have any idea what that is? What are the numbers on this? There are 40 of them. Ross, you'll know what it is. Where'd Ross go? Those are CQ zones. Anybody remember CQ magazine? I guess it recently went under, unfortunately. But the CQ Zone Award is really hard to get because what they did is they just carved up the world into 40 zones, and you got to work one from every zone to get the CQ Zone Award. Thank you very much. You give these guys a hand. Thank you. All right. You can fold that up and set it down. So there are awards that you can get by working all these, I'd say countries, but they're really more entities is what we call them, okay? And so an entity under the ARRL DXCC award program means sovereign nations, okay, that's obvious, right? And far-flung territories, okay? So like Guam is a ARRL entity, right? Hawaii is too. It's far enough away. Alaska's far enough away. The United States has about a dozen or so. We've got, American Samoa. We've got, where I'm going with this. We've got Wake Island, for example. There's a guy out there right now. He's a contractor that's going to be there for another couple of weeks. It's one that I need. But here's the problem. He only can get on the air when he's done with his shift. And his shift ends at about, 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, his time, which is 2 in the morning here, and I just haven't bothered to get up to try to work him. But anyway, let's talk about some of the awards. First of all, does anybody in the room have the ARRL DXCC award? Can I have some hands? Great. Oh, yeah. I see you.
Got it.
You just got it.
2 weeks ago.
Way to go, Carl. Awesome. Okay. Tell me about your journey.
10 years.
10 years?
10 years. I had about 90 of them till about a year ago.
Yeah.
And once I got my extra and got a little bit of extra
More bandwidth, yep.
bandwidth in places, it was a little easier to get some places, and I just persevered and call a day, kept the doctor away.
There you go. You just keep chasing the DX, find a new one, work them.
DX Summit to find the ones I need.
DX Summit is great. We're going to go through some slides about ways you can get into DXing and some of the tools. That's excellent. Anybody else want to share their journey with getting DXCC? Okay.
I begged number 100. I begged him.
You begged?
Please confirm.
Please send me a QSL card.
No, I don't care about the card. Just
So
confirm.
this is the award. It's really quite a beautiful award. And century means, of course, 100. Once you've worked 100 entities and confirmed them, that can be the tricky part. Once you've confirmed them, then you get the DXCC award. It's a beautiful award. It's been around since the 1930s or 40s. It's kind of everyone in the HF world is something that you really ought to try to get. I mean, you're out there anyway contacting people. You might as well try to get it. And then you can get endorsements as you go along the way. I happen to have 275. There are a total of 340 DXCC entities. I'm ever so close to my 300 sticker. And I think when I get that one, I may just kick my shoes up and decide, well, maybe I'm going to kick back a little bit. But what happens is a lot of these entities are very rare. For example, when do you think the last time North Korea was on ham radio? Well, believe it or not, there was a guy from Eastern Europe in 1999 or so. And he was a contractor out there, and he convinced the government to let him set up his radio. And there are about, I don't know, maybe 10,000 hams out there with the coveted QSL card from that guy. Since then, there's only one other guy that did a demonstration for the government, and he made about 100 contacts, and that's been it. So North Korea is number 1 on the list of most wanted. Does that make sense? Okay, so another thing I want to kind of go into before, I think I'm going to just take a minute here, set up my laptop. That would help, wouldn't it?
So you absolutely cannot win this award unless you have North Korea as part of your contract.
No, I'm sorry, don't confuse you. So as soon as you get 100, you get the award. If you get North Korea and you haven't got DXCC, something's wrong. Okay, because only the really diehards are chasing those really different.
I had 123 for a long time before I got the 100.
That's a very classic. You had 123 already worked, but only 100, if you finally got the 100 confirmed. Yep, that makes sense. I know how that works. Okay, so very cool. So before we get into more about DXing, I want to put in a little plug about the 7th area QSO party next week. So we're going to kind of diverge from DXing just for a minute. Who all, have any of you been involved in the 7th area QSO party, 7QP? Ralph, we chatted about it. Oh, hey, look who's back there. It's a great contest. QSO parties, most states have a QSO party, okay? That means on that weekend, or usually on a Saturday, people go out to all the counties. And the counties are multipliers. So you get points for contacting people, but then you can multiply by how many counties you get. And so it's really a lot of fun for county hunters especially, because there's such thing as county hunters. Is any county hunters out here? They're kind of a rare bird. Okay, we got a rare bird over there. But they're what, 3,300 counties?
Yep, I've got 1,500.
Okay, you're halfway there. So the county hunters really love this, but it's generally just a lot of fun. Utah County is not very rare because there are a lot of us get on HF on this contest. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. And what the 7th area guys did put together is instead of doing individual state QSO parties, we just do it all at once one weekend. And it's coming up this Saturday. It's called 7QP. The 7th area QSO party. I would encourage you to, if you're interested in doing it just from your home, just get on HF, go to 7qp.org, and all the rules are there. Because counties are coveted, some of the counties are more rare than others, right? And so when I first got into this hobby, I decided I'm going to go out and find a county line. And county lines are fun to work because when people contact you, they get 2 counties for one, right? In fact, they get 2 QSOs at one. And so, oh, here's a county line operation. So I looked on the Google Maps of counties, kind of looked at the lines. I thought, where can I go out on a county line expedition? And wouldn't you know, the Holiday Inn in Green River is on the county line. It's on Brown County and Emery County. It's right there on the line. I'm going, perfect. So I brought my radio down there, plugged in. I brought my portable antenna. I have a little crank up antenna that's all band, and I set it up. And wouldn't you know, I won a plaque. I was the 2016 high score for all of Utah. How about that? Because I was a county line. It was easy because every contact I made, somebody else had to do 2, right? Because I got double. And then I decided a few years ago to find another county line, took my camper out there, and I found a county that was kind of in high demand, and so I got on the county line. And that time, I won the whole 7th area for county line operators. So there you go. That was a lot of fun. Okay, so that's the 7th area QSO party. I highly recommend it. Hope everybody can get a chance to go out and have a little fun. So as Noji said, DX is short for distance, is what we learned there.
I wasn't going to spill the beans, but there you go.
There you go. It's short for distance. And it's all about making contacts with amateur radio operators in far-flung places. That's what it's all about. And, and apologies to Noji. I know a lot of the club activities are centered around the 76ers and the repeaters and VHF and all this stuff and UHF. I have one handheld, and I use it like every now and then just to check in. That's about all I do. So I'm not really into that. I'm an HF guy. But so for me, it's all about DX. I have a ball with DX and with contesting. And I hope I can help some of you kind of catch the bug about this, because it is a lot of fun. So we reviewed some of these awards. There's the DX Century Club. And the cool thing about DX Century Club is once you reach the 100, there's more to do, right? You can get those endorsement stickers going out. This one here is actually our old friend K7UA. Do you folks remember Bryce? He passed away during COVID, unfortunately, but last time that I shared this podium was with Bryce. And so in his honor, I wanted to make sure that we showed his. His award has actually, he's on the DXCC honor roll, okay? Which meant he contacted all 340, which means he was one of those rare guys that actually have the North Korea card. So that's pretty cool.
His book is still available online on Amazon and everything else.
Yes.
I've printed out a few copies of it, and I've been trying to get the family to update it, because you can put QR codes in there instead of the links and make a printable book out.
That's a great idea. So Bryce Anderson, he wrote this book called The Beginner's Guide to DXing, something like that. Great book. It's free. If you search K7UA, you can just find it. It's, DXing book, K7UA. Yeah, highly recommend it. Great book. But it is a little out of date because the digital modes were just coming into play when he passed away. But anyway, another cool award you can get with the DX Century Club program is this one. I just got this, actually, a few weeks ago. I've been at this for 9 years, and I just got this one. What this is the 5-band DXCC. So what are the 5 main amateur bands? Let's go through them. 80, 40, 15, and 10, okay? And then we have the UVARC band, UVARC. In other words, they were given to us a couple decades ago at a conference. Those other ones are 30 meters, 17 meters, and 12 meters, right? So what you can do is you can get this award when you got to first work the 5 main bands, and then you can get endorsements. And so I just got my 8-band DXCC. Well, thank you. But here's the thing. I already had 12 and 30 and 17, and I had 4 out of the 5 major bands, but I couldn't get anything until I first got all the 5 main bands. Anyone want to hazard a guess which band is the hardest one to get 100 DXCC? 80 meters, exactly. And why is that?
Rag shoes. Boys. Noise.
I'll give you noise, right? 80 meters is a very noisy band. You notice there's a slot there for one more? What's the other one that I could get if I had a lot of room on my property? 160, right? 160 meters is 80 meters, even harder, right? But guys have it. In fact, you can also, I know some people, not in the Rockies, it's almost impossible, but you can get the 6-meter DXCC is possible. Folks in Europe get it all the time. Why would that be? Yeah, they're surrounded by DXCC entities. Liechtenstein here and Monaco there. And do you have 6 meters?
No, but I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I'm here in the Rocky Mountains and I want to work a remote station on the East Coast, can I still claim that as a DXCC?
Okay, so here are the rules. The question is, can I use remote ham radio operations and still earn my DXCC? And the answer is yes, with a very important caveat. So you can operate anywhere within your DXCC to earn this. So if you move from California, all those contacts still count because it's the same DXCC united, still the contiguous 48 states. So to your question directly is, if I use a remote station on the East Coast, yes, I can, because I'm operating remotely from Maine or New York or whatever. Yeah, that is allowed under the program. But I couldn't remote into a station in, say, Japan and start working all those Asian countries, because that'd be really easy, right? You got to work it from, and I've made it a point with and I do a little bit of remote operating, but I've made it a point to try to earn all of my awards with my equipment. There's just a satisfaction in doing that. Okay, now, here's another really fun part of DXing, all right? What are these? QSL cards, okay? So you need to be able to confirm your contacts in order to get the award, right? And so the traditional way is to get these QSL cards, right? But there's another way that's becoming more popular, and that's logbook matching using the ARRL Logbook of the World. So I just want to share a couple of really cool, this is probably the most interesting QSL card I ever got, all right? This is a 1-pound note from Egypt. All right, and on the back, the guy just put KK7L, DE, this is SU9VB. He has the date and the frequency and my signal report. And I took that to a card checker, and he says, oh yeah, we know that guy. He's famous for doing this. This is how he QSLs. So here's another kind of fun one. This is a Tango 2 radio from the little island country of Tuvalu. You ever heard of Tuvalu? All right, it's in the Pacific Ocean. It's about a 3-hour flight out of Fiji. It's right on the equator, right on the international date line. It's hotter than Hades. It's just, and I've been there 4 times. And what's really cool about Tuvalu is I used to have a client in Brisbane, Australia, so I was flying back and forth a lot. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to do a little DXpedition. Why not? I'll bring my portable antenna, bring my radio, I'll set up, and Tuvalu is where I decided to go. And I just had a ball from that place. There was a DXpedition there recently from Germany, a bunch of guys, and they contacted me. I get a lot of people contacting, hey, where do I go? Where do I stay? How do I get licensed? But what's really cool about Tuvalu is when I got there, I walk into the... I happen to know I'm a Latter-day Saint, so I know the mission president in Fiji, who was a friend of my neighbor's. And I said, hey, I'm going to go to Tuvalu. I know that's in the mission. And so he arranged for the little branch. We have a branch of the church there. It's a little country, only like 11,000 people, all right? And so we have a little branch of the church. That's the whole country, right? Scattered on 7 islands. So we have a little branch of the church there. And he told the branch president, hey, we got this brother Mitton coming, and he'd like to meet you. So I get there, and he tracks me down. And the next day I'm going into and he says, hey, look, you're going to love getting your license in Tuvalu. I says, why that? He says, well, because my first counselor is the guy who hands out licenses. So I go in the next morning. I meet with Brother Maui. I hand him my 20 Australian dollars. They use the Aussie dollar in that country. And I show him my U.S. license. He photocopies it. He gives me my license. What call sign would you like, Brother Mitton? I said, well, how about Tango 2 Radio? It's nice and short. He says, okay, that would be fine. He issues me a call sign. He says, hey, by the way, my old man used to be a radio guy. I think he was a ham radio operator back in the days. He's passed away. He says, I'd really like to know more about your hobby. I'm going, great. So that week and a half, I spent at least an hour or two a day training Brother Maui all about the hobby. And you know what I did when I left? I left my gear, and he gave himself a license. It was great. So if you're ever on the radio and you hear Tango 2 Alpha Mike, AM, that's Atuwhenua Maui. That's Brother Maui. So anyway, I'm planning on going back there again. Unfortunately, the radio I gave him eventually died. It's a very harsh climate there. But anyway, this is one of my favorite QSL cards because it's mine. So again, ham radio is more than just contacting people. It's also about getting out and having some fun and meeting some really wonderful people. Here's another interesting one. This is 7 Lima 4 Lima Kilo Kilo. All right, you think, where the heck is that? Well, that's Japan. So interestingly enough, in the Tokyo region, they ran out of call signs. Ham radio is a really popular hobby in Japan. So this guy, they started spilling over to their alternate, starts with the 7. Anyway, I was just on 12 meters one day, SSB tuning around, and this guy responds to my CQ, and I served a mission in Japan, and so I love working the Japanese. And so we're chatting away at Japanese, and I tell him I'm from Utah. He says, oh, this is all in Japanese. So did you serve a mission over here? I said, what do you know about missions? Oh, well, I'm a member of the church. I said, oh, okay, great. So we had a nice contact for about 10 minutes, and then the band faded out. And that's the fun, really, of amateur radio HF, is because it's like fishing. You never know what you're going to reel in. So that's what's so fun. Anyway, this is 7 Lima 4 Lima Kilo Kilo. I hope to meet him one day. I've invited him to come over and visit us whenever he's in Utah, and I think he might come and see us sometime. Anyway, here's another one, S500. Okay, this guy is in Slovenia. Anyone know where Slovenia is? Okay. It's a beautiful country. I've never been there. It's in the Alps. It's like Italian Alps just to the east. Anyway, he was trying to get his 5-band DXCC, and you know what he's trying to get his 5-band Workdoll States. You know what he was missing? Utah. So he sends an email to the Utah DX Association, of which I'm a member, and I'll put a little plug in for that before I end here. But he says, hey, I'm just missing Utah for my 5-band Workdoll States. Again, 80 meters, hard, right? 80 meters to Europe is hard, all right, unless you have quite an antenna farm. So I said, hey, I'll take it because I needed Slovenia to get my 5-band DXCC. And so we emailed back and forth. I said, okay, you know what a SCED is? You know, I made a SCED. And I said, look, FT8's can be our best shot. It's a hard band, and we're going to follow the gray line. So let's talk about gray line propagation. And Noji, if you'll give me just a 5-minute heads up when it's time for Q&A, when should we end this? When should I end my...
You can quit at 7:45, that would be perfect.
7:45, including Q&A. Perfect. So I email, what's his name? Miran I can't pronounce his name. Vanchina. He's got a really great station, though, and up in the mountains of Slovenia. And he's got a really nice full 80-meter quarter wave vertical system. So I thought, okay, we got a shot here. And you'll see my antenna in a minute. In fact, I'll just go to it right now. This is my equipment here. So I've just got a 24-foot flagpole out in the backyard. That's all I've got. So that's my vertical. I load it. I actually bought it. You can buy these things commercially. But so at 24 feet, I'm exactly resonant on like nothing. Okay. At like 11 and a half megahertz or something. No, yeah, 11, like 12 megahertz. So it's not on any of the hand bands. I do really well on 30 meters. That's 10 megahertz, right? So it works pretty well there. But anyway, I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a go. I do have some Europe confirmed on 80 meter, but I'd really like to give it another one. So anyway, we managed to make contact. How many of you use FT8? You familiar with FT8? Go ahead and raise them high. Okay. So you know on FT8 you get a signal report? We copied each other at -22 and -24. So it was just a whisper, but I captured the screen and he sent me an email. We did it! So he sent this to me. So I treasure this one. Yeah, Ross.
A little trivia on the QSL cards at Bryce. I visited K7UA's house about 4 years ago. He had a cabinet full of them. I swear he told me he had like 20,000 QSL cards.
Bryce had 20, so that's K7UA for those who didn't hear it. Yeah, before he passed away, Ross went over to see him. Yeah, 20,000 QSL cards. So yeah, they're a lot of fun. I mean, that's, you know, what's in the mailbox today? That's really what's a lot of. There's thrill of the hunt. I'm going to pass these around, so I'll just kind of split these up just for fun. I'm keeping the 1 pound note from Egypt. It's worth about 2 cents. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can improve your operating skills. You meet lots of interesting people. I've shared with you a couple of examples. But if you like to travel, seriously, if you're going to go to some country, look up your log and look them up on qrz.com. You know QRZ, that's where you can see your contact registry. Say, hey, I'm going to be in the area. And most amateur radio operators, they're like, great, come see me. We'll have lunch. I mean, it's a great hobby that we're a part of. All right, so 3 years ago, Bryce and I think it was 3 years ago, Bryce and I gave our presentation on DXing. And at that point, Solar Cycle 25 was just starting to take off. So let's talk about solar cycles. I hope some of you don't fall asleep because many of you know this already, but it just bears repeating. So the sun goes in an approximate 11-year cycle. They've been, you know, the scientists have been following sunspots. These are little flares off the sun for the past, you know, maybe 130, 40 years. And they've observed over the years that there are these cycles where the sun will will start ramping up during this 11-year cycle where it gets more and more sunspots at the same time. And then it'll start slowly dying off and cooling off again. And it'll do this over 11 years. Well, what does that mean for us? Well, when the sun has a lot of sunspots, what happens to HF radio?
I think it's good.
Chad, how good is it right now?
Good.
I don't know if you saw my Facebook post, Holy Sunspots Batman, but I reproduced it here in the slide. I mean, the fun meter was literally pegged a few days ago. There were so many sunspots happening all at once that the bands were just unbelievable. I mean, you could be on any band, 80 through 10 meters, day and night, and I was hearing people all over the world. Now, the lower bands aren't so good, by the way. It's mostly the high bands that are affected by the sunspots. Ironically, when the cycle is at its trough at the bottom, that's the time when you want to work on your 80 meters and your 160 meters, right? Because those, and I'm sorry, I'm not a propagation expert, but you know there are layers in the ionosphere. That's when the layer that is normally charged during the day and you can't get any DX on 80 meters, it's not so charged because of the sunspot cycle. But anyway, so now's a great time to get in. I kind of feel that we're hitting the peak now in cycle 25. Oh, I can, yeah, okay, cycle 25, that means they've been measuring this thing for like 300 years, right? Okay, so that's the solar activity. The SFI index, that's the solar flux index. That's the one that you want to watch. And that screen snip, by the way, is from a website. You might just want to make a mental note here. I should have put it on the slides. That's on the website of DX Heat, H-E-A-T. DX Heat is a great website. Not only does it give you the current propagation in a very easy to understand format like that, but it's what's called a DX cluster, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but it's where people spot. You know how people spot elk when you're out hunting? Okay, same idea. They'll spot DX that they're hearing on the bands. You can see that online and say, oh, let me get that guy, I need that country, okay? So DX Heat is really nice because you can narrow down what it is you want to see. You can say, oh, I only want to see Asia, great. Or I only want to see Europe, or which continents you want to see. And then you can say, oh, I only want spots that are coming from North America, which makes sense, right? You don't care if some guy in Japan or somebody in Thailand, right? You probably won't hear the guy in Thailand because it's propagating to Japan at the moment. So anyway, that's DX Heat. Okay, so that's propagation. One other thing about propagation is the K and the A index. The lower the better. What that has to do with like coronal flares and electromagnetic energy that's hitting the Earth. When those are high, you may have high solar SFI numbers from sunspots. But when those hit, it gets very disturbed, and HFDX can basically go to 0 for a little while. It's usually temporary, maybe 3 or 4 hours. Now you might be thinking to yourself, don't I need, all the fancy antennas and towers and stuff to do DXing? Well, it helps. And there are services such as remote ham radio. All right, for a fee, you can pay $99 a year, and you can have your pick of a dozen or more. We call those big gun stations, and you can rent it by the minute. Okay, so if you just want to have a little fun and just be a big gun for 10, 15 minutes and you want to work that really rare one, get on there and you can literally just turn the beams to that rare station and just hit them with 1,000 watts and, 9 dB gain on your antennas. Yeah, he'll hear you. But I like to me, the thrill of the hunt is more fun when it can come from the equipment that I put together. And so again, this is my setup here. When I got into the hobby again, I actually got licensed back in the 70s when I was a kid. But when I got back into the hobby again, I joined the Utah DX Association, got mentored by some folks there. I decided, okay, I'm going to get serious about this. So we were just building a house at the time on the lake, which is great for propagation, right? Nothing around me. So I've got a straight shot to Europe from there, right, over the lake. And so what I did is I had the contractor put conduit from the flagpole area all the way up to my shack, to my office, so I could run my coax up through there. I also have conduit going down where I can have an emergency generator as well, so I can I have power running up there as well. And then I put 33 radials under the sod. So as you know, a vertical antenna requires a ground plane or at least a counterpoise. And so I decided I'm going to put the best ground plane I can. I just put radials all under the sod going down into the lake. And so that's been a great performer for me. So if you are HOA constrained, there are many things you can do, okay? A flagpole is a great solution, especially if you have a little bit of space for you to put those radials out. You do need some counterpoise. Other things, I'll get to a slide on that as well. There are some wire antennas that are very much HOA friendly. No one's going to give you a hard time. But I was able to get my DXCC in 152 days. And the reason I was able to do that is because I got my CW chops back. I used to do that in high school. I was really into CW. And CW is a great way to work DX because you can bust the pileups, and we'll get to that in a minute. But then later I got a 500 watt amplifier, and that's currently what I use today. So your most important consideration when you want to work DX is your antenna. And so generally speaking, the higher the better. If you can have a gain antenna, even better. But I mean, you can just start with wire dipoles, especially now, right? We're at the top of the sunsets of the solar cycle, 10, 12, 15, 17 meters, 20 meters. You can just have a ball just with a very simple dipole antenna. You can get DXCC from a small lot with a dipole now. You won't be able to do it in a few years maybe, but you can do it now. So I'd encourage you all, just get a balun, you know the calculations, right? 468 over frequency, cut it in half, stick it up. You'll have a lot of fun on HF radio. Let's talk about a few of the basic wire antennas. They're very low cost, they're easy to build. Some of the more stealthy ones out there, like my flagpole. How many of you have an end-fed half-wave antenna? Pretty popular, right? The nice thing about the end-fed half-wave is what? What's the beauty of it? Yeah, it's multi-band. You don't need an antenna tuner. They're fantastic, right? The League, if you go to ARRL.org, you can order a little kit like this for $80, which is probably better than you're going to do buying the ferrite and winding it, maybe a little more than if you just wound the ferrite yourself. But anyway, just build a 49-to-1 unun and stick it up and just go have fun with it, okay? Verticals are another way to kind of stealthily, like I did with my flagpole. Here's a great example of a kind of stealth antenna for HF, the Comet CHA 250. It's 23 feet tall, and it doesn't need radials. It accomplishes that with a matching unit. I mean, it's not ideal, right? But it gets you on the air, and it's another way to do it. There's no need to rotate it. And of course, the nice thing about omnidirectional is it radiates poorly in all directions, as we say. So ideally, you'll get a directional antenna. I don't, because my HOA won't allow it. But if you have the space and you're able to do it, there are lots of designs out there for directional antennas. You've heard of Yagis before. In the VHF world, you use Yagis all the time, right? And of course, your reception is going to be much improved too, because not only is it directional for transmit, but it is also for receive. Let's talk a little bit. Any questions? Let's stop there. Any questions so far? Antennas, whatever. Go ahead.
Is yours a gray line flagpole, and what kind of antenna tuner are you using?
Okay, gray line. You want to talk about gray line propagation or the antenna tuner for line?
That's a brand name.
Okay, yeah, all right. I totally spaced the propagation discussion, so I'll answer both of those questions. The other one is my antenna tuner, right? So before let's harken back to propagation, right? So when the ionosphere is charged, the radio waves skip. You all learned that, right? I think even the technician license, you learned that, right? So when it's charged, the radio waves skip, and you're able to get these in and out, come again, DX opportunities. The gray line means that's sunset and sunrise. So if you look at the globe, there's always a gray line somewhere, right? As it turns, where that sun is just right on the edge, where it's morning somewhere and it's nighttime somewhere else. We call that the gray line, okay? Getting back to my friend in Slovenia, when do you think we timed our 80-meter contact?
Gray line.
During his evening and my morning, because it worked out pretty well. It doesn't have to be exact, but there's this magic window of about 15 or 20 minutes where if you can propagate along that gray line, it's amazing. And you can also propagate, if it's your morning or your evening, sunrise or sunset, anyone in the dark zone also propagates pretty well, especially on the lower band. So that's gray line propagation. And then to answer your other question about antenna tuners. So because my 24-foot flagpole is hopelessly mismatched everywhere, what I did is I bought the Elecraft. They have a 500-watt amplifier with a matching antenna tuner that'll handle that 500 watts. And it can mismatch way up to 10-to-1. And that's what I use. That being said, as we started coming up on solar cycle 25, I found that I was just pulling my hair out on the higher bands. I mean, that's a lot of, that 24-foot is way too long for 10 meters, right? So what I did, and so far, HOA has not given me a hard time. What I've done is I just cut myself an 11-meter dipole. Okay, I'm not a CBer, trust me. Okay, 11-meter dipole. I went to Home Depot, and I bought the thickest gauge wire I could get, and I cut it for 11 meters. Why do you suppose I did that? Come on, think about it. Think about 8-band DXCC. What was I trying to do?
30 meters. 12 meters.
12 meters and 10 meters. It's resonant all the way. Does that make sense? So with one antenna, I got 2 bands out of the deal. And why did I pick high, thick gauge wire?
It's more broadband.
It's more broadband. So the thicker the wire, the broader the band. So what I did is the 12-meter band is sort of 24.8 megahertz or so, and the top of the 10-meter band is 29-ish, right? And so what I did is actually the top end of that band is not so interesting to me. It's like well, there's satellites and FM and stuff up there. And so what I did is I realized that, wow, the 11-meter CB band is right in the middle. I'll just cut it there and it works great. So what I do is I hoist that up the lanyard, and I have a sloper going down to my shrubs, and I just have a ballon in the middle of it. And so I have the sloper. And so what I found is I needed that to complete my 10 and 12 meter DXCC, because otherwise my antenna tuner was just having a hard time. Great question. Go ahead.
Do you point at the top of the flagpole or the bottom?
Yeah, so what I do is if the flagpole is here, at the top of the flagpole, I just take, I have insulators at the end of the dipole, right? And I should have just brought a photo, but anyway, I just connect the insulator to a little rope that connects to the lanyard, and I just hoist it up. So then I've got it sloped like this down to a shrub, basically. And then if the HOA comes around, I can just lower it down, I guess. But so far, no one's given me a hard time about it. It's been a great way to work those bands. Yes.
Your 500-watt antenna tuner,
Yes.
is that up in the shack by the amp or down at the flagpole?
Great question. Ideally, it would be down, and my antenna tuner would be down by the flagpole, right? Because then you're getting rid of the standing waves on your coax. But no, it is in the shack, and so I ground and bond them all together with a grounding rod. Okay, let's talk a little bit about transceivers. There are transceivers that have been around forever, and there are all kinds of used equipment out there. I'm sure swap meets are coming up soon. Here you could find equipment. You'll pay more for newer rigs. They have lots of great features, especially for DXing. But you don't necessarily need to go out and buy the $2,000, $3,000 transceiver. Seriously, just go out and get something even new. There are great ones out there for $800, $900. You're going to need a bit of other kit equipment. Most new transceivers have a sound card, so you can do the digital modes without having to have equipment like the Signal Link, but that's still a very popular way for doing digital modes. Of course, you need headphones. I'm going to make a pitch for your CW paddles. Learn CW. It's so much fun. I'll get to CW in a minute. And the amplifier can wait. And I want to make one other important comment here when it comes to 500 watts or 1,000 watts, okay? QRO, we call it. QRP, right? Low watts, QRO, okay? When we're talking about QRO, the FCC has recently put in regulations, and we're all now subject to it. Are you familiar with this? Where you must be able to calculate your HF exposure. Okay, and so if you're going to put an amp, the first thing, before you even buy it, do some calculating. It's online, it's free on the ARRL.org, just search HF exposure. And they have what's called controlled environments and uncontrolled environments. Like my backyard is a controlled environment, right? I know who's going to be back there generally, unless they're wandering in or something. So it's a little more lenient on controlled environments, but do that before you go out and buy an amp, because if you're on a smaller lot, and you're going to run 1,000 watts on 6 meters, there's some exposure risks that you need to be aware of. Okay, so next, get your feet wet. Even with the technician class, you can get on 10 meters right now. 10 meters is hopping. It's a lot of fun. You see that little yellow section there? So from 28,300 to 500, you can work SSB. Go out there and work the world and make a lot of friends around the world. Now, I'll tell you, 4 or 5 years from now, 10 meters is going to be dead. But if you're a technician class, just jump on right now and have fun. You can also do digital modes. That's the only band you can do digital modes on HF, is on 10 meters. The next step you're going to want to do is get yourself a logbook of the world account with ARRL. I don't have time to go into that. There's a little bit of a process. They send you a postcard just to make sure it's really you. And then install a logging software. And there are lots of free ones. Go ahead.
They don't do the postcard.
Oh, no postcard anymore.
No, they do it by email now.
Oh, email. Wow.
I had to re-up mine here recently. and they do it by email now.
Oh, great.
Which saves you the waiting for the postcard stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so Logbook of the World, I guess, has been simplified. That's great. They just want to keep the integrity of the program. They don't want just people bogus say, oh, I made this contact. So. And then there's lots of free software. I won't go into them. There's a world of them you can choose from. But just make sure the logging software syncs with Logbook of the World. That way you can get those confirmations without having to wait for this Egyptian banknote to arrive. Okay. When it comes to FT8, we're down to about 5 minutes. Great. How many work FT8? How many are familiar with FT8? It's a great little program. You can work the world on FT8 very easily just with 100 watts or even 50 watts. There are a few things, and I'm going to blow past there because I don't have time to go through it, but make sure you've set it up properly, that you're not creating splatter. Do you see the splatter on there? Do you see that? Don't be that ham, okay? Next, I want to plug for CW. If you want to know all about CW, visit with Ralph. Ralph joined my slow speed CW net like 5 years ago. Yeah, we decided at the DX Association, we're going to do a little slow speed net for some of our members. And Ralph showed up, and bless his heart, man, he's just cranking it out on CW. I'm really proud of him. I'm super proud of him. But anyway, I would highly recommend if you want to learn CW, look up CW Academy. Okay, just Google CW Academy. It's free, and they have classes 3 times a year. They last for 2 months. It's all volunteer. And by the way, the guys who run CW Academy happen to live in Utah, which is kind of cool. But anyway, they have 4 skill levels. So if you have no idea what a dit and a da is, you can get right into the beginner level. Or if you just barely can kind of carry on a conversation, and so on. They have all the way up to those that the goal is to get you up to 25 words a minute by the time you've been through all 4 classes. So great program, highly recommend it. We already talked about propagation. We talked about gray line. Here are a few URLs. And can we post this or make these slides available, Noji, afterwards? Okay. So you can look at these later, but there's some great little websites that can help you understand, hey, I want to contact this guy on Easter Island. You just contacted him. You're telling me you're else, right? There's a couple of guys down on Easter Island right there. It's pretty rare. Anyway, you can just plug in, Easter Island and my QTA, my location, and it'll tell you, oh, you need to be on at 0300 UTC on 17 meters or whatever. It's really pretty cool. And that'll give you a good sense of when you need to be on the air to contact those.
I just happened to be tuning around when I found them.
Yeah, that's the best way to find DX, isn't it? Just tune around. Just tune around, hear somebody like, oh, wow, what's that call sign? That's a weird call sign. You look it up and say, oh my gosh, that's Bulgaria. I don't have Bulgaria. Okay, I'll contact this guy.
DX Summit seems to be the most popular.
Yeah, DX Summit, that's this slide right here. That's DX Summit. And the other one, again, that I like is DX, I said it a moment ago, DX Heat. Yeah. DX Heat is a good one too. Clublog is another great resource. Again, I told you, make sure if you load software that it can sync with Logbook of the World. I would recommend you also sync with Clublog. What Clublog is, it's a voluntary thing. It's not a awards program. What it does is it allows you to sync with everyone else that syncs with Clublog. And then when a DXpedition, by the way, I use this term a lot, that's when people pack crates and crates of gear and they go off to some remote place. That's called the DXpedition. But anyway, when those guys are out on DXpedition, you'll know if they got your call right or if they busted your call, Confirming the QSOs, we went for that, you apply for the awards. Okay, Noji mentioned in the Facebook, we want to talk a moment about busting pileups, and then I'll end, okay? So, a pileup, maybe you've experienced a pileup on field day. Have you ever had a pileup? We got a bunch of people calling all at once. Now, imagine this on steroids when you've got a very rare DX, all right? And this is a recording of my friend, Jared Smith. He lives up in Smithfield. He went out with 5 guys on a DXpedition to the Marquesas Islands. It's a very remote French Polynesian area. And so gives you an idea of the SSB pileup video. Can you hear it? You hear that?
Tango X-ray 7 up, 5.
you hear any calls there? Anyway, how do I stop this thing? Oh, there it is. Oh, hang on. Okay, so that's a pileup. They're kind of exciting when you're on the other side of the pileup. But here's the thing. If there's a pileup and you've got 100 watts to a dipole on 80 meters, are you going to work them? It's going to be hard, right? So let's just go through a few general principles and then I'll wrap it up. The first thing to do to make sure you get through a pileup is to not be in it in the first place. Okay? So when these rare DXpeditions go out, you see this chart over here? This is DX World. That's another really great website. They keep track of where all the rare DX is going to be and when. What I like to do, because I'm a little pistol, even with 500 watts, I guess I'm not a little pistol anymore, but what I like to do is wait until the last couple of days of the DXpedition. Because by then, pretty much everybody that wants to contact him has already contacted him. And then the pileups are really minimal and I can get through. So that's a very important tip, okay? Time your calls. Try to get on when you know propagation is favoring Utah to that location. We already talked about that. Be willing to operate at odd hours. There's a guy out on Wake Island right now. I think I told you, right? And I don't want to get up at 2 a.m. I probably ought to just get up at 2 a.m. and see if I can work this guy. But he's 100 watts to just a little buddy pole stick on Wake Island, and all he's doing is SSB. I probably won't be able to work him. And then you got to learn how to work split, and we don't have time to talk about that. But obviously, higher power the better. There's a thing called the DX Code of Conduct. You should read that and internalize it. Those are things that make sure you're not being an idiot out there, like calling out of turn and making everybody mad at you. But I want to just go over one little tip here. So this is the ICOM 7300. Many of us have that rig, pretty popular. You'll see on there are two buttons that I've highlighted. The one button, the round one, is the XFC button. And the rectangular one is the split button. So when a DX is calling, he doesn't want people jamming him, right? He wants to listen somewhere else and let the pileup be over here. So he'll say, I'm listening up. Sometimes he'll listen down, but generally say, maybe you heard him say, this is TX7 alpha, listening up. So what it is you're listening up, and on SSB, you got to go up at least 5 kilohertz. Why? Because SSB takes a bit of bandwidth. And then the pileup begins there. And then he'll say, oh, listening up 5 to 10, or 5 to 15 if it's a really big pileup. Okay, so here's what you do. You operate split, so VFO A is listening to the DX and VFO B is where you're calling. But that little magic button there, the round one, when you press that, it swaps them. Okay, what does that mean? So what happens is he'll say, maybe you'll hear the DX call, KK7L, you're 5 and 9, whatever that is. Okay, I'm going to switch. I'm going to listen for KK7L. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Because he'll reply back, oh, 599, thanks, I'm in Utah, whatever it is. Great, now I know where the DX is listening, don't I? Right? Because he just worked that guy. So what I'll do is by using that button, when I let go and I call him, I'm on that frequency. So that's probably the most important tip, is learn where the DX is listening and use your full call sign. I don't really have time to go into this. Just really quick on FT8 pileups. One tip that I would give you on FT8, because the DX is listening to the whole bandpass, all right, it doesn't matter where you call, right? It doesn't really matter where you call, but he's got to be able to decode you. So do you remember that guy with the guy with the splatter? When you hear splatter going on, you don't want to put your transmit frequency there, do you, right? Because he's going to be splattering all over you. Does that make sense? So in FT8, when you're trying to work a rare DX, I recommend you jump around. Just what I do is if I'm working the DX, I'll just go, look, I'll just start out at like 1,100, and then I'll go up another 100 and up another 100. Every 15 seconds, I'll just go up another 100. And by doing that, eventually, I'll be in a really clear frequency where he is going to hear me. So that's really the only tip I have, other than many of the DXpeditions will have very expensive radios that have very wide band passes. They can hear really wide. So you can call them even above 3,000 and they will decode you in many cases. So that's another little tip. You'll find very little competition up there. And then finally, my last slide is we have a Utah DX Association. We meet once a month. If you want to know more about DXing, feel free to contact me directly, KK7L at ARRL.net. Or just go to my website or to the QRZ page for KK7L. I frequent the club Facebook page every now and then, and once in a while you'll hear me, especially on the HF nets. I'd love to come out and mentor you. I've been out to some of your homes in the past. If you have antenna issues, trying to work the DX, I'd love to be able to help you that way. So here are a few other little resources. And any last questions? I know I went a little over time. Yeah, Nochi has a question.
I know you know this, John, but ever since I was born, I was a cheater. I cheated things, and that's how I got to where I am now. I cheated. So I have a question for you then, and that is, do you ever cheat when you do DX? Like, for instance, when I try to do DX, what I'll do is sometimes I'll turn down the volume and turn on the SDR on the web. Do you ever use the web SDR? Okay, so the question is, if you didn't hear it, do I use web SDR to kind of cheat a little bit? I've only done it once, and I'll tell you when that was. So we have this great SDR, right, in northern Utah. I was trying to work a fairly rare one, I remember very vividly, on 40 meters. And there was a carrier right over the DX. I'm going, man, I mean, I know I can work this guy, but I can't hear if he's calling me. I just can't hear him. And so I did. I tuned in on the SDR, and I did the old trick. Listen where he's. I could hear him just fine on the SDR. That carrier was not affecting the SDR. And so there actually is one time I did that. So I must confess, teacher, I'm a cheater just like you.
It's not cheating.
It's still Utah.
No, and it's not cheating. Again, the rules are, so long as it's within your DXCC, and other the contiguous US, you're good to go. Mel.
If some of us are limited on our antenna farm, would you allow us to come visit you and do some operating?
Guest operating at the KK7L shack, absolutely. But only if you bring, something for potluck or something. Donuts or...
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, here's what I'm going to do. I got thinking about this. We have a couple of DXCC members here already, all right? If anyone by the end of the year makes DXCC, you're invited to my house for a hot spring swim. Seriously. We'll have you for dinner. We'll have a little party. I live in an HOA with a year-round hot spring pool. It'll be a lot of fun. So who's in? You want to try to do it? Let's do it. Okay, so as you progress, let me know as you're coming along, but you got to have the certificate on the wall. Or bring it to our potluck, and we'll have a little DXCC party. What do you say? Sound fun? Now, if you have DXCC, come up with another goal, all right? And let me know. Maybe you want to get that 150 sticker or something, all right? Just let me know. But I think it'd be fun maybe within the club to have a little competition. What do you say? All right, go out and have fun.
I got a question. One of the slides you went over, it said, don't spot yourself.
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so these spotting clusters, and I'll show you this right here. See that? See where we have a parade of DX showing here? All right? That means people have spotted, oh, I'm hearing Bulgaria, oh, I'm hearing whatever, and here's the call sign, and here's the frequency. It's bad form to spot yourself. Like, it would be bad for me to... It'd be bad for me to say KK7L is calling CQ.
To beg somebody to spot you. I hear that all the time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's been a kind of a sea change in this. If you're the DX, if you're a rare DX, I'm not talking Japan or Australia or something. I mean, if you're like Tuvalu, okay? People are getting more accustomed, okay, yeah, Tuvalu, he's rare. He's spotted himself, and that's not a big deal. But yeah, it's usually bad form to spot yourself.
I usually feel sorry for a guy who's calling CQ, and I'll contact him, and he keep calling, and nobody's coming back to him. He's in a spot where
he just can't hear you, yeah,
or something, and so I'll spot him just to kind of help him out.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes. DX will be calling, especially if you're in a lot of these guys go out to very remote places. And so unless they have Starlink, they can't spot themselves. It's impossible. So that's why you're hearing, would you mind please spotting me? I'm going to be here for the next half hour or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty common. Any other questions? It's a fun hobby. Hope you can get into it. HF is great. You go have a ball with it.
Okay, everyone. Time for everyone's favorite time of the night, and that's the door prizes. I have here next to me Ashley. She's going to be my assistant tonight. So if you do not win your prize, remember it is not my fault. It's hers. So tonight's just kidding. Okay, so tonight's door prizes consist of the following. We have 2 different child correctional devices here tonight. We have one for Baofeng and one for Yesu. If this is the one that you want, please choose either one or the other. The other one I will dispose of in Noji's garbage can. Not really. We have a 7-3's hat, an ARRL membership, survival food disguised as M&Ms, a 2-way handheld transceiver, a Baofeng, and then of course our Parker's J-pole, which comes with free installation by Noji. So what I'm gonna have you do is just put your hand in here, shake them up really, really good, and then pull out the ticket and announce it really loud.
Okay.
The last 3 numbers in the ticket.
Okay. Wait, the last 3 numbers?
Yep, the last 3 numbers really loud.
732.
No, did you want to get pictures tonight or no?
I've got it right here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not trying to yell in your ear. I'm so sorry.
Okay, hold up your prize. We'll take a picture of me.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 77-1.
771.
Oh, wait, that's mine.
That's yours?
Okay, which one?
Any of these prizes right here. And they're not these 2, except for these 2. So anything. So.
1 sec.
She wants these.
I don't know.
You want the M&Ms. Trust me, you want the M&Ms. Take the M&Ms.
Okay, fine.
What child doesn't like chocolate?
Okay.
What kind of child does not like chocolate? Oh, turn around. All right, here. Now just pick up my ticket and we'll be square. 764.
739.
739. Oh, stand.
He said he was giving me the lucky one.
Let's see.
Or the Parker's J-pole over there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, which one is the, this is the...
Which one is the Baofeng, Noji?
The one with the thing sticking out the bottom.
Yeah.
So this one's the Baofeng.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
All right, so while we're doing that.
Gotcha.
767.
767.
All right. All right, since we're running out of time, while he's picking out his prize, we're going to go ahead and pick up the next one. Yep.
Here.
Or the J-pole.
Or the J-pole, yeah.
Okay, 766.
766.
You'll take the poll? Okay. All right, so we have the hat and the ARRL membership. Okay. And so that means the hat is going to go to...
Okay. 785.
All right, let's give a big round of applause for Ashley. She did great, didn't she? Thank you so much.
I'm a guest here.
All right. Hey, congratulations. Go ahead and turn around so we can get a picture of you with your hat.
Okay, we want to say thank you for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you spending your Thursday nights with us. And we're going to QSY over to Fat Daddy's Pizza.